and welcome to a special edition of Fleetcast because we are now on a Saturday. We missed a week last week because we had some slight technical issues that I caused, that we lost a whole
Oh,
episode.
please. It's just technical difficulties
Yes, but
and
I felt terrible, so we have had to re-record this episode. But Endy, as usual, is just an absolute angel and hasn't judged me too much for my
no
mishap
judgment here.
with me hitting a key and basically muting him from last night's recording. So
Hey,
yes, but we are
don't worry.
back.
It's just sometimes I need the lesson to shut my mouth.
But yes,
Don't worry about
we
it. Good.
are back this week on a Saturday, which is hopefully going to be our normal slot going forward. We're
Yeah.
going to be out about 8 p.m. GMT time or British Summer Time, depending on where we are in the
Which
year.
means
It's
for those of us who are of a
a different
more
time zone.
American
It's
bent,
it's what
8 p.m. is around 3 in the afternoon
yeah,
on Saturday for those of us in the New York time zone.
yes.
Uh, for those outside of that, timeanddate.com has a wonderful meeting planner.
Yes, but it's a good time because we can hit our friends in Australia around the same time, so it's not
Yeah,
it's a slightly more friendly time, and if we do ever want to go live, it means it's an acceptable time for all of us. So that's a slight
yes,
spoiler for what things that we might have coming up in the future. But yes, this week's episode, as per usual, I am joined by the lovely Endy as we
yes.
discuss Star Trek the animated series. And these two episodes were absolutely brilliant. I
Yeah,
very much enjoyed these two episodes.
yeah.
Yes.
These are these are fun episodes and really show kind of the two faces of the animated series,
Yes.
where one is a very cartoon episode and one is an animated episode of Star Trek.
Yes, and that's kind of
So
very much the hint that I got from the Time Trap and Territon. They are very much
yes,
two different ends of the animated series spectrum that we've seen so far.
yeah,
But I enjoyed them for very two different reasons. But what's funny about these episodes, as we discovered when we were talking pre this episode, is they're actually shown in different orders. Um, I've got them on Netflix as one way, and broadcasted and on Endy's DVDs they're actually the other way, and it
yes.
actually changes the story ever so slightly for me, knowing that they
Just
were broadcast the other
just a
way.
hair, just a hair, because yeah, on the DVDs, which I'm inclined to trust CBS Paramount here, just
One and only time.
overall. Um, they say that the Territon incident was November 17th, 1973, and the time trap was November 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Netflix thinks it's the other way
And
around.
Wikipedia does as well.
Wikipedia thinks so. Okay.
Yes, so we are gonna edit.
Um,
We are gonna edit that afterwards.
yes. Um, and we're gonna have to go to primary sources. I'll
Yes,
have to find um actual air dates. Then again,
yes,
it could be a difference because you're in the UK.
it could be.
It could
Yes,
be that they were aired out of order because I know that some of Next Generation was aired out of order in the
yes,
UK.
and we got quite a few episodes edited. There's
Yeah,
one episode that mentions Ireland, and obviously when
yeah,
that was
the Irish reunification in
yes,
2024.
and
Yeah,
obviously with the fact that in the
we're a few months out
90s,
from that, right?
yes, and obviously in the 90s,
There was
Ireland,
the
there was
emergence of the Troubles.
yes, there was
Yes,
the Troubles. So that episode was never broadcast the way it is.
right.
So yeah, it could just be that, but we are going to discuss them in the order of the Time Trap and then the Territon. Am I correct there?
Okay, if we want to do that, we can do that.
Or we could do it.
We can go with your order.
Which way would you like to go? Because it doesn't matter.
I I'm open. I had them sort of the way my DVDs show them,
Okay,
but
so
I can
is it the
typically
Territon?
flip it around.
Territon first?
Yep, if you're okay with it.
That's fine. We can go with the Territon first because
Okay,
I think that's ever so slightly the smaller of the two episodes.
it is. It is. Though I just full disclosure here for our viewers, uh, when we were recording this originally, when we were rehearsing this,
Rehearsing, yeah.
I found some images that were missing for what we wanted to explain, and I've updated.
Yes, yes.
So, with that in mind, let's hop into the Territon incident. So, overall, what do you think of the writing of this episode?
I liked it. I preferred this episode. No, wait. I preferred the time trap compared to the Seriton.
Yes.
But I did enjoy this episode. It felt
Okay.
slightly more. It was like the comedy episode.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a good episode. I found some of the points frustrating. As we're getting, you'll understand some of my
Completely.
issues. Yes.
Completely.
Um.
And I think it's interesting that you have some frustrations with it
Yes.
because of who wrote this episode.
Yes.
Uh, Paul Schneider from Passaic, hi, uh, who was also the writer of 2 episodes of the original series. I'll go in reverse order. The Squire of Gothos,
Which I've not seen.
which introduced the character Trelane, which you do need to see,
Yes.
and Balance of Terror,
Yes.
which you have seen.
I have seen,
And
which threw me when you said this.
Yes, in a vacuum, Balance of Terror, I kind of understand where you're coming from now.
Yes.
In a vacuum,
Yes.
as we get this series, we're gonna go back to the original series, and I think when you view it in context,
Yes.
you may have a different opinion.
Yes. I think
Now,
I possibly will, but
now,
it threw me that he wrote this because it doesn't
yes,
feel like the episode that
it
I've seen,
it seems more like the Squire of Gothos
which I haven't
than
seen, but
right.
yeah.
But so just getting into it, if you can start throwing up our PowerPoint.
Yes. I'm in charge of the PowerPoint.
Yes. The Enterprise shows up in front of this dead black hole or dead supernova, which I love this effect. I love these images. We've said it time and again.
It just looks like a painting. They've literally thrown
Yes.
a Vincent van
It
Gogh
is.
on the screen, and that's very much
Yes.
what my feels on it are.
Yeah. These are definitely great jobs in matte painting. It may have been done in oils. I don't know.
It's just amazing
But
that we get this on the screen.
it's the star Cepheus, which makes me really think of the Cepheus engine, which is an OGL retro clone of Classic Traveler, a sci-fi tabletop RPG, and one of the oldest ones, and one of the games that before FASA and before other companies got into Star Trek RPGs, people made their own Star Trek campaigns
Which
using the Travelers.
Which I
Yes.
absolutely love, and I think that
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to be a whole podcast. I am going to be putting out
We-
some stuff on this around it because,
Yeah,
excuse me, I think it would be such an interesting thing to find out about this. I think it
Yes.
would be going very much back to part of the fandom that I'm not familiar with at all.
Absolutely. I would love to do the tabletop RPGs, and at some point, spoilers for future episodes, we might be able to do one shots in each of the various systems.
Yes, we
It
are
would be fun.
considering it.
So we go. We see the ship exploring this dead star, and then they receive a distress signal from a planet nearby. Now, I don't know where I know it from, but I know I have heard the phrase intersat code somewhere other than this episode.
For the life of me, even after we finished the episode that we were obviously the rehearsal that we did yesterday, I tried to find a reference to it, and I cannot.
Me too.
So
And
I'm really hoping that someone who watches this knows it, and they can let us know in the comments, because I'm really hoping that someone does, because it's going to be one of those things that it's going to bug me.
It's sitting in the back of my brain like, how do I know this? Why do I know this?
Yes. Yes.
But at the same time, maybe it is just for this episode, and
It
it
could
just
be.
sounds like something that would exist,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm thinking of it. Um, Now, in that message, the thing that I understand why they did it, at the same time as I think they could have done it better. Uhura recognizes that there is an intelligent communication in there, but Spock is the one who hears the word Territon
Yes.
and hears it repeated twice, which to them indicates intelligent life.
Yeah.
And after McCoy is a bit sarcastic
As he does.
about exploring a 200-year-old code,
Mm-hmm.
um, they say, well, if it is somebody alive, we should go find it.
As Starfleet does.
Yes. And then we come over to a mysterious planet with a bunch of crystals on it. And this satellite dish looms up. And what was your first thought when you saw that?
I was like, oh, Crystal Planet.
Okay.
That was my first thought. I was like, oh, Crystal Planet. This is interesting. And then I was like, Crystal Planet with a satellite dish, and a satellite dish that is using a crystal as its like centerpiece. I was like, something is definitely going on here. But I kind of didn't really think much more into it because I think it was such a quick shot, and the fact that you move straight on to the next thing,
Yeah.
it didn't leave me much time to think any more on it.
See, when I saw that, my immediate thought was, oh no, it's an ancient code, so it's an ancient computer that's been left on, that went sentient, and oh no, Kirk's going to have to talk another computer to death.
Yes, because they
And
have done this quite a lot.
yes, and I was pleasantly surprised to find otherwise,
Yes.
as we'll get into in a moment. Now, they receive some kind of weird radiation,
Yes.
and it does, and they have no idea what's going on. And we cut down to sick bay because Kirk asks for a status report, and that's when we see some of my favorite things from this episode: the gossamer mice and halofish.
Yes, which are very much two of my favorite things in this.
Yes.
Which I'm going to put the images up now.
Yep.
But they are very much two of my favorite things because I feel very much like they link to Enterprise and the fact that we have the chief medical officer on that ship who has all his animals with him.
Yeah.
And I just find that I find it really. I don't want to say what I was going to say, but I find it very. The fact that it's now, I feel very much like it's linking to Sirius. The canon is developing. I know we've said several times that they pick and choose what they want from lore to bring in from Star Trek the Animated Series forward, but I feel very much like these points that these few episodes that are that we've watched over the last couple of weeks, they're very much linking in to Trek.
Yes.
And I don't know necessarily if they planned it. But I do very much feel like I don't think they did, but I think
it is absolutely whoa. Sorry about that. Minor technical difficulty there. iPad fell.
It's okay. We are now even on the link the issues, the technical issues.
Exactly.
But let me find where did I put the fish? Oh, the
yes,
mice.
But with this, I also, as I've said, this is where Star Trek begins to get viewed as a continuity rather than just as an episodic space western.
Yeah.
And I really do like that about the animated series.
Yeah.
And honestly, the thing that I love about the gossamer mice, even more than Halofish is awesome.
Yeah.
Halofish is the unit. But Gossamer mice, they could never be done in live action.
No,
Even today,
they really couldn't. And
you
I
could do them CGI, but that would be about it, and they wouldn't be as believable
no, not at all.
as when we present them here in animation.
Yes.
Now, I like that they are again making an effort. You know,
Yeah. I feel
they're not just
I feel very much like they do the small things so very well, that do the fact
yes,
they do very very small pieces of fan service that I really like, and then they
yeah,
kind of, don't get me wrong, they do things that I very very much do not like as fan service,
yes.
but they do
Well,
do
yes,
the,
you do need your red flags.
yeah. I don't know where my red flags are actually. I have them. I don't know where they are in my new setup.
Well, when we start going into TOS, you will need to have them sitting
Well,
nearby.
I thought they had, but I've got a 7-year-old who likes to use my desk for doing everything.
Oh,
So she's probably stolen them. They're
well,
probably in her grotto of collections. So I know I've got about 6 of them because I did buy them from Amazon. But yes, there are a few red flags in this episode that are, I know, that are fan service, but I very much do not
and
like.
I've called out 2 of them in the images. We'll get
Yes,
there.
yes, they make me
But
slightly
yes,
uncomfortable, but they will be there just so you can see in the context of why I
yes.
don't like them. But yes,
Well, yeah. But yes. So the crew gets affected by this, and nobody seems to be bothered by it. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's in trouble. And then everybody shrinks.
yes,
Well, actually, that's the funny thing. They start thinking that the ship is expanding,
yes,
which is interesting. You know, trying to figure out, okay, are we shrinking? Is the ship getting bigger? And the thing is that in the next generation, the episode where uh, uh, Dr. Crusher gets caught in the warp bubble,
yes,
she had the computer to help her there.
yeah,
That's the thing that I love about the original series in some ways. They can't just immediately ask the computer,
yeah,
hey, are you getting bigger or are we getting smaller?
yes,
They have
yes,
to actually work it out.
yes,
That's a nice thing
yes,
that I think gets lost as the technology gets better.
yeah. I think it does ever so slightly, but I just find these sets of scenes really amusing,
Yes, when they're
because
all shrunk.
yes, because
But
they don't really realize that they've shrunk.
yeah,
Until they see the damaged dilithium crystals.
yes, the damaged dilithium crystals, which man, those things do look gnarly, don't they?
They do, and I really like. Is this the first time that we see them?
No, this is the second time we've seen dilithium crystals,
Okay.
and these things they look like they've had a bomb go off inside them, which is
Yeah,
kind of cool.
yeah. They do look
And
really funky. I'm not gonna
they
lie.
comment on, these are the hardest things in the galaxy, and their spiral structure makes them strong. And you
Yeah,
can actually see in the animation that it's the spiral structure that's changed.
it's compressed and twisted.
Yes.
Yeah, it's funky, and it just
And
does
then,
serve to show
yes,
how badly something's gone wrong.
yes. And this is when they start to think, oh no, it's not the ship, it's us.
Yes.
Which is when we come up to everybody trying their darndest to make things work,
Yes.
including Uhura clambering up onto the communications board here.
Yes, which I will show for a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
There we go.
And I love where Spock's eye line is in that shot.
Yes.
Sorry.
I don't
Though
necessarily think
I don't think
Spock's,
their intention was
yeah.
where they put it, but
Yes, but it happened, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm
yeah.
not a fan of it. But yes.
Well, I mean, in some later continuities, Spock and Uhura become a thing.
Yes, and
So
I just can't see it in this continuity.
Yeah,
Because
I also don't see it in this context.
because
I
Christina.
don't think he ever meant.
No.
I I think I'm making a joke out of. I know I'm making a joke out of it,
Yeah, but it's
but
easily done because of
oh yes,
the way he kind
oh
of
yes,
looks.
exactly.
But yes,
Now,
we get this funny set of scenes
yep,
where they're trying to use
yep,
different things to be able to use the ship. You've got Spock having to use his whole body to press buttons.
yes,
You've got
and then and you've got a couple of more interesting moments once we get down into sick bay, where they're starting to talk about it, and McCoy figures out what's happening. And this is where the big science blunder of the episode happens.
just a little bit.
Um, okay, so in terms of physics, yes. Uh, in relative terms, there is as much space between an atom's particles as there are between stars in the galaxy. If you attempt to compress them, things happen badly. Things go very badly.
Yes.
We call that nuclear fission.
Yes.
Um, and the idea that they have that they can compress DNA, this is the science blunder of the episode.
Does it upset you as a former science teacher?
It does.
Yes.
It, just a little bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, though I do appreciate that they comment on DNA here because it was a relatively new discovery. It was only a decade or so since DNA was actually discovered.
Yeah.
Now we have the human genome mapped. You know, the amazing jumps in technology and science in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
That's one of those times when I look back and can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But so after the science blunder, where we have to just kind of let it go, let it be, and say, all right, now we get the closest that Spock and Christine ever get to touching.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
Because Christine wears a bracelet, a titanium bracelet,
yes,
which is not shrinking.
Yes.
So Spock looks at it and is like, okay, so we're shrinking. Our uniforms are shrinking. The coral is shrinking. The titanium and the rock are not shrinking.
Yes.
And that's when we get my favorite piece of trivia about the original series to date. That their uniforms are made of an algae-based fabric.
Yes. Which
Now,
I really like as well. And it was something that I didn't notice when I was watching it, but obviously when we were discussing it on our rehearsal, I was like, it just makes sense that they've chosen something that's so prevalent and exists in such large quantities, in some parts of the world.
And it is so replaceable as well. Yeah. Renewable.
It can, and especially with the technology where they've got, replicated technology, and it's just such a good idea. And I was thinking about it and how it links into one of my games because we're on an Ent era game, and we've used algae quite a few times as a source of protein for our resequencers, and I was like, it 100% makes sense.
It absolutely is. I think actually it's novel canon, which isn't canon.
But we can pick
that
and choose.
The base blocks, exactly. But the base blocks are or were algae at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether you call it Xenolon or Xenolon, which by the way, the difference there is, do you have Spock's accent or McCoy's?
Yeah.
Are you from Chicago or Georgia?
Yeah.
They have these, algae-based uniforms. Really great piece of trivia there. And then we see the next few shots where they're starting to get really, really small. So small that they need assistive tech.
Yes.
So we have these ladders on the bridge that they fashioned out of, I guess, pencils, right?
Yeah, I took it as
Because they look like
pencils.
something out of Gilligan's Island to me.
Or I don't know, maybe I don't know what they could
Yeah,
be. But yeah,
but
I took it as something like that, or
and once again,
yeah,
we get a full body shot of Arix.
yes, which I love.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Now they're talking about things, and Sulu is looking back at the captain, and once again takes a spill and busts his leg. And
Yes. How many times has he
I
done it now?
I think this is only the third. Only the third. For the guy who is the master of Aikido, for the for the guy who is probably the best physical combatant on the ship,
I know it just makes no sense, and it's
danger prone Daphne. I swear.
yeah, yeah, but it feels very much like me in the fact that I've cut my hand open like 3 times this week on different
Oh,
things. So I feel
yeah,
I can understand Sulu's
I
actual
sympathize.
proness. Yeah,
I sympathize.
I can
Uh,
understand it.
yes, absolutely. And we get um again a close up on this broken leg that has been crudely bandaged, which I still say it looks like something out of Gilligan's Island,
Yeah,
which I don't remember if the Gilligan's Island cartoon was on at this point in time or if it was later.
I
I didn't
don't
look
have
it
a
up,
clue. But I also like what about
but
this image is
oh,
the shot of is it Arox's legs?
yep,
Yeah,
Arix's legs there. Yep,
I absolutely love the
where
fact that
oh yeah, absolutely,
we fully get that he has got 3 arms and 3 legs. I love it.
yes, absolutely.
But I need to know more
And
about his species.
um, they show up in novels. There's one in a video game somewhere, I think. That's about it.
Ugh, I
I
need to.
think they show up in. I think there's one in the SCE novels, in fact.
Okay, I need to know more about it.
But
I'm gonna have to research.
yes, and then they find out. Oh no, they can't get into the turbo lift because the electric eye can't see them.
Yes.
So Kirk finds a pin, which I am kind of glad that he doesn't make any comment on it. Just grabs it
Yes.
because I feel like this is a moment where Kirk would say would normally say something like, "Thank goodness for poor maintenance standards,"
Yeah, or
right in front of the
something
guy,
like that.
something snarky like that. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that he didn't.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think, but also what I think it is, I think that's a toothpick. I was going through and I was looking at what the things,
yes,
the things that they'd grabbed. I was like,
yes,
that's a toothpick. That's totally a
but why would
toothpick.
but having a toothpick on the bridge?
Yeah,
Yeah, it might be a hairpin too.
it was just because it was white, and I was like,
Yeah,
like
it might be a toothpick. It might be a hairpin.
bobby pins
Yeah,
are normally sort of like a darker color, so I was that it's my head canon that
okay,
it's
that
that,
works.
but
And then we go down to the sick bay. We get a shot of them working on tools that are huge now
yeah,
compared to them to fix Zulu's leg, and they have to go get the bindings. Fine. Christine knows where it is. It would normally be something she would pick up like this,
yep, no
but
issue
now
whatsoever
it's
for my girl. She would be,
yes.
should be all over this.
And she goes over, and then she trips into the fish tank.
Which is one of my very, very big frustrating points
Yes.
of this episode, because
Yeah.
she doesn't
She
need
slips and falls.
yeah, but she doesn't need to be the damsel in distress. She very
I
much doesn't.
right. They do get her out, and she's okay. Um, and in some ways, I kind of find it interesting that they have Sulu break his leg, and then they have Christine fall in the water. Like, okay, here are our two damsels.
Yes, yes.
you know,
I don't
and I
necessarily think it added very much to the episode, but I do understand why they've done it from a story point
Yes.
of view, that they want to show that there's chaos, there's issues,
Right.
the fact that the ship
Right.
isn't designed for people that are, a sixth of an inch tall, those
Yeah.
type of things. But I just don't think it adds anything to those characters, because we've seen it all before. We've seen
Right.
Sulu break his leg. We've seen Christina be the damsel. I just don't
Yeah.
think it could have been any other character and it would have been fine. I just think it's those
Okay.
characters that are
Yeah.
consistently that happens
I,
to.
I I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I guess that's not wrong. But yeah, I do like that they immediately band together. They get a plan. They get her out, and she's fine. And then they get Sulu patched up.
Yes.
And I have some images here. I should have taken one out, if anything, to juxtapose uh, Kirk with the normal sized communicator calling down to
Yes.
Scotty, because he finally decides, okay, no, we can't do this anymore. I have to go down to the planet. I don't care if I'm small. I don't care if I'm big. I don't care what happens. I need to go down there.
Yeah.
And he's got a communicator that's half the size of him, which is the normal hand communicator. Then, after some button pushing and pulling of the transporter, Kirk goes down to the planet and is restored to full size.
Yes.
Which raises some questions for later in the episode, but I have decided after the science blunder, we don't question it anymore. But then we get the funniest image of Kirk with the tiny communicator.
He's like this.
Like,
I'm gonna put it on the screen, but I needed to do it in my hand.
Yeah, he's
first.
like this with it, like
he's tried to poke it, and yeah.
Scotty, help. Right? And goes and explores, finds this city, which honestly, when I first saw it, it looks like the Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz. It really, really does.
It does, yeah.
If you made it out of Jello or something.
Yeah, it literally just.
But it's definitely Emerald City vibes.
Yeah, it very much does, and I'm just popping it on the screen now. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't kind of fit what you think would be sort of down there. It doesn't feel like it belongs.
Yeah.
It just kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And then Kirk experiences tectonic events, let's say.
Yes.
An earthquake, a volcano exploding, and another science blunder. He's within feet of lava, fresh lava.
Yes.
And seems completely unharmed.
Yeah, he just. But it's Kirk.
Yeah.
Kirk power. It's Kirk power.
Exactly. Now, he goes back up to the ship. If we pause on the volcano, he goes back up to the ship. And after nearly deafening Scotty just by talking normally, and finding out that the entire bridge crew has been kidnapped, he sends a comm down to the Territon city.
Yes.
And says, return my people right now, or there will be consequences. The entire planet-busting power of this ship is turned on your city.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, let me show you.
Yes.
And he sends down a phaser blast that completely erases this one, 3-foot tall crystal.
Yes.
And this is one of those things where we differ on how we see Kirk.
Yes.
Because
I don't feel very much like this scene was very Star Trek. I feel very much like Kirk is going off the reservation. I very much don't feel like this is the Kirk that I have been growing to like. And I feel a little bit disappointed that we have taken a step back in getting me to like Kirk as a character. But yes, we have very different of opinion on this.
Yeah. This moment, I like it because this is Kirk as the cowboy. It
Yes.
absolutely is. And to me, Kirk being the cowboy, I mean, it is a space western. He is the cowboy.
Hmm.
He is the marshal. And in this case, his crew has been kidnapped.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything except one repeated word. And he
Territon.
knows that his crew has been endangered.
Yeah.
He knows that very shortly he'll be the only one who can operate the ship.
Yes.
And he knows the people he cares about have been kidnapped.
Yes.
And he doesn't hurt anyone. Besides, the planet is blowing up around them.
Yeah.
All he did was make a point
Yes.
that, before your planet can kill you, I can too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
an
then we
interesting
get,
it's an interesting point, and obviously,
and then finally, a hail comes in from the Terrans. But yes, but
yes.
you were saying.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I feel very much like it's an interesting concept that Kirk has taken this route.
Mm-hmm.
Um and the fact that yes, the ship is about to get to a point where he is not going to be able to operate it. They have minimum crew standards for a reason. The fact that
Mm-hmm.
they need a minimum set of crew to
Yeah.
run the systems. And I fully get that he's desperate. He's trying to do this. I just very much don't like the fact that we are seeing a Starfleet officer like this. But
I
I
I under,
am growing to understand that it was a different time. Um, you know, how we would necessarily see it now is slightly different from how it was very much gung ho
yeah.
back in the 70s. I am
Yeah.
slowly simmering down on my views on that. I am trying to see it through less rose tinted glasses. Um
Well, let
the
me ask you this. Do you like Battlestar Galactica,
Hell yeah. Did you not
the
see the
original
t
series?
did you not see the t-shirt I had last night?
I did.
That was my Watch the Frack t-shirt. But yes, I do actually like the original series. I haven't seen it for a
Well,
very long
then
time.
guess what? Lorne Green, I mean, he was on Bonanza, but Lorne Green Adama may not have been as much the cowboy,
Yes.
but he was,
Yes.
and Starbuck absolutely was,
See,
and
I
that
actually prefer the newer series
okay,
for a lot of the characters.
okay, but I'm just making the point that
Yeah.
when we're talking about these space westerns, because in many ways, Star Trek is, as much as it's called Wagon Train to the Stars euphemistically, I think it's more um, Gunsmoke to the Stars,
Okay.
or even Paladin, you know,
Okay.
where Bonanza was more Wagon Train. Where, not Bonanza, where Battlestar Galactica was more Wagon Train.
Yeah.
Um, but in that series, you get moments of cowboyness where they need to do things, and this is the same sort of setup where, again, this is also the half-hour episode
Yeah.
with more time to develop it in a full episode, in a full hour. Maybe Kirk would have done more
Yeah.
before getting to this point. As it is, I still say I understand why he made a show of force, because it was the only thing that got attention.
Yeah.
So then the Mendant comes on,
Yes.
and the two of them are just being dicks at each other.
They really are. I don't think Kirk has
And
come up to someone who is as much of a dick as him yet so far.
no, and well, he kind of has in the original series, but not in animated.
No.
No, and and it's really funny to see it where just he and the Mendant are just,
They
because Kirk
really
is
are.
ready to blow up the goddamn planet
Yeah.
at that point. He's just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, and I
And
very
then
much like the fact that it's not Kirk that kind of saves the day in this respect. It's very much
right,
the fact that Uhura steps in with
her steps in and says, "Captain, we're fine.
yeah,
stop.
Yeah, and
You
obviously
know,
we've got the really nice scene of McCoy
yep,
examining a Territon
the Territon baby.
the Territon baby,
Yeah.
which is so sweet.
Oh God, yeah, it is. It's so adorable. Where you see McCoy and you see Chaplin with this Territon baby, and her is like, "Okay, see,
See, look, they've got
they're people.
yeah, they've got
They're
kids.
people."
We're fine.
Yeah,
Which then
like
brings me up to the point that slightly annoyed me yesterday is the fact that we find out that Territon is a lost human colony again.
yes. And
Um,
the thing about that is, yes, there are a lot of lost human colonies, but there's also World War III,
yes,
the eugenics wars, the
yes,
Earth Romulan War,
yes. It just
the first Klingon War,
it just bugs me that
man.
we have so many of them.
Okay,
Did Earth not keep track of enough things? Did they
no, they
really?
didn't.
Did they lose all these things? I'm a little bit
They
concerned.
lost the Botany Bay.
Oh, they lost. Well, I feel like they lost pretty much everything at this stage.
In many ways, it basically comes out over time that yes, they really did. Um, History kind of stops for them
Yeah.
around the 60s.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, history kind of stops for them around the 1960s and jumps forward a century,
Yes.
which obviously we know why in fiction it did,
Yes.
but at the same time, I think it's interesting when you start looking at, you know, Star Trek as a whole continuity. You know, that yes, they did lose that much.
Yes.
And no, the Vulcans don't know everything about it. No, the Andorians, the Tellarites, the whatevers, they don't know.
Yes.
You know, they have their history.
Yes.
Um, and in fact, I think maybe that's one of the points of Earth centrism in Star Trek that I would prefer against, where we don't really see much of Vulcan's history
Yeah.
except yesteryear.
Yes.
But then, you know, we get into the Territons say, we have dilithium, we can save your ship.
Yes.
So the crew gets beamed up. And we see them with dilithium crystals there. And Harrix is really looking awkward at this point. But they all get beamed up. And then the Territons apparently beam everybody else down by sections to carry dilithium up because the Enterprise transporters will restore them to normal size.
Yes.
And I wanted to show this second image where one of the Territons is asking them, hey, are we going to get saved or are we going to die? Because I want to show the guy who is stage left, their right, on that image. In addition to the awesome 70s hair and stash, do you notice what's on his face?
He's wearing glasses.
Yes. It's a Star Trek character wearing glasses. I love it.
Which I love because I very much feel when I've been watching the animated series, we have not seen that type of thing. That kind of thing, like just wearing glasses, that doesn't really come up until we get to the next generation. But I love the fact that it was a thing in the animated series, and it's it's not been mentioned enough. And I think it needs to be highlighted the fact that the animated series did do these type of things. It's not just the next generation that did a lot of these themes. Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it's such a small thing that if you hadn't mentioned it, I would have missed. And I think a lot of people are doing that.
Exactly. And I just caught it and was like, wait, holy moly. Yeah, that guy's wearing glasses. That's cool. You know,
100%.
and I love that. And then, of course, they beam everybody up. As the planet is going and as the ship is getting away, they beam up the Territon city.
Yes.
We get the shot of the macroscope, which is the weirdest invention, but interesting, where they use it to talk to the people of the city, put them down on a planet somewhere, and never hear about them again.
Yes, this is one of my frustrations with this episode is I understand that obviously the animated series is very much left out in the cold in continuity,
Mm-hmm.
but I think with us now doing things that change continuity or adjust timelines like they have in Strange New Worlds, little points like
Yeah,
this could be mentioned. But I also think it's a very good writing concept that things from the
yeah.
animated series could possibly be mentioned
Oh,
in
oh,
writing.
absolutely.
And I am going to issue a fleet challenge around this. I would like someone or some people to mention this planet and these people. I'm going to put it all in the comments below so that you can see. I would
Yep.
like to see some.
Janice 3. Yep.
I
And
would
the Terrans and
yes
the colony of Terra 10.
yes I
So,
would
yes.
I would very much like to see some people doing some writing over this.
Yeah.
I have decided that going forward, each episode that involves Star Trek, I am going to do this. I'm going to issue a fleet writing challenge through this,
I love
and I would like to see what people come up with.
now. Now
We could,
I would love to see if we can integrate that into Solar Force.
yes, we could, we could. It's not just open.
Oh god. The
Okay,
Incredible Shrinking Rangers. Oh no.
yes.
That would be a mission.
Don't give me
That would
ideas,
be
but yes,
oh god. Don't worry. The ideas are already. Can you imagine Spencer dealing with getting small?
yes, it would be, and it would be.
Napoleonic complex.
Yes, it would be very interesting. But yes, I
Yes.
think the animated series is brilliant, and I think other
Yeah.
people need to watch it.
Absolutely.
Because I think just some of the
And
points that come up in this,
yes.
it's very much like Star Trek Lower Decks, where a lot of the ideas I've used for my writing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Star Trek Lower Deck, the animated series, it's very similar. It's given me
Yeah.
a lot of fuel. And I would like to see other people doing that. But
Absolutely
what
agreed.
are
And I
your?
love.
I already know what your scores are because obviously
Yep.
this we did a rehearsal.
Yes. Yes.
But would you like to tell everyone else what your scores is and why it's your
Yep.
score?
Well, this episode is a 3 out of 5. If it were just on the story alone, it would be a 2,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
But the Gossamer Mice and Halo Fish carry it over the top.
Yes, because it is 3 out of 5 Halo Fish for this
Yep.
episode. My score is exactly the same, but my score is low, not because of the storytelling, but because of some of the scenes that make me uncomfortable in this. Obviously, we've got Uhura clambering up onto the console, we've got Chapel and Sulu being damsels in distress. You know, I guess some of the storytelling is very poor in this episode.
Yeah.
But it's not a weak episode. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a poor episode. It's just some of the points on it just
It's
bug me ever so slightly.
Yeah. It is very much an average episode and shows the more Saturday morning cartoon side
Yes.
of this. Like, we have the title drop at the end.
Yes.
We have, very standard Saturday morning cartoon fare
Yeah.
while trying to do Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I understand why, but I prefer the episodes that lean more into being Trek episodes.
Yes.
And we're about to get into one of them.
Yes.
The Time Trap.
Yes.
Great episode here.
This is probably one of the best episodes that I've seen so far on the animated series.
Yes.
Other than Yesteryear.
Oh,
And
Yesteryear. So there's a reason I have said Yesteryear is a 6 out of 5.
yes. My only point so far out of these 2 episodes is we have had no Hell Spock moments. I am really disappointed that these 2 episodes
Sadly.
do not have Hell Spock moments.
Though in this one we do kind of have Spock save the day.
Yes, but there's not a
Which
Hell
is
Spock moment, and
true.
I'm disappointed because this
Fair.
is because it's fast becoming my highlight of these episodes is tracking down
Yes.
Hellspark because it's just so funny.
Yes. Yes. So, but let's get into the time trap. We open on fireworks actually in
Yes.
space,
Yes, which is
which is
funny.
weird. We've only got one frame of them here. Believe me, if you see them in animation, you'll be very glad we only gave you one frame. Uh,
Yes.
it's an effect that I don't know why they did it, but I'm glad they cut away from it quickly.
Yes, because it is
And
very
the
much. It would have hurt my head if I'd
yeah,
seen it. If it'd been any longer, it
yeah,
would have hurt my head. Or if I'd had it on a
exactly.
big screen because I was watching it on a small screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Um, so they are assigned to an area called the Delta Triangle, which um, the funny thing about that is that this becomes an inspiration to a lot of later stuff, like um, the Phasma Star Trek game that I mentioned has an area called the Triangle, which is where the Federation, Romulan, and Klingon neutral zones meet.
Yes.
In uh, Starfleet battles in Starfleet Universe, Prime Directive, that stuff, there's the WYN sector, which is a triangular sector described by the borders of three uh, star empires.
Yeah.
And I like that this becomes sort of a thing that
Yeah.
there are these Bermuda triangles in space, because that's really what the Delta Triangle is trying to be.
It very much is, and that was kind of my first impression, especially obviously when we see it on the viewer, which I'm just gonna pop on the screen.
Yes, because I love the view. The viewer finally gets used. It has been
Yes.
sitting there in plain sight every moment of the original series, and it was never really that useful until now.
Yes.
Here it is. It's
Yes.
working as a radar screen.
Yes.
And for those who have played various Star Trek video games, yes, it works the way you think it does.
Yes.
It
Just a
is the
little
big
bit.
system radar, and I love it for that.
Yes.
Um, Now, of course, once they get into the Delta Triangle, Kirk and the Enterprise get ambushed by Klingons.
Which was gonna happen. It was just
Yeah,
gonna. It was just gonna happen,
exactly.
wasn't
It
it?
just yes. So I've even skipped over that in images because this is it's the establishing moment of the episode, and yet there's almost nothing new about it
Yeah.
to show. Um, yes, the Klingon models are beautiful.
Yes, but
The Klingon,
it's ones that we've
but
seen previously.
exactly
It's nothing new.
right. So they get into um, a fight. They zap them once with a phaser blast,
Yes.
and the Klingon ship disappears. And everybody's like, wait, hold on, what? Spock says, that wasn't a cloaking device.
Yes.
And nobody has to say it because we all know by this point. Does one phaser blast take down a Klingon battlecruiser?
Not in the slightest, and especially not in Star Trek Online, because I got respawned about 20 times this week while I was
Yes.
trying to defeat Klingons. So yes,
Right.
it doesn't work like that.
And, yes. And we'll find, and the captain here, is Commander Core. Is Core going to get taken out by a single phaser blast?
Not in the slightest. I think for people that might not have seen the original series, do you want to just explain who Core is for everyone?
Sure. Well, actually, it's easier to explain that Kang, Core, and Koloth were recurring Klingon captains that vexed Captain Kirk. Three different Klingon episodes. They ended up meeting. Koloth they met on Space Station K7 with the Tribbles. Kang, I forget where they met him off the top of my head. And Core, let me double check, because I thought he was the one who was on the planet there. Hold on. Um, da, 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 hang on. Yeah, he was in Errand of Mercy, which is when they went to the Organian planet, the Organian peace treaty established. So
Yes.
technically, Core has now been involved. Core will now be involved in two incidents where he has to kind of act at peace with the Federation,
Yes.
which is going to be interesting since he and Kirk don't like each other.
Not in the slightest. And this episode makes it very, very, very
Yes.
known
Yes.
that they do not like each other in the
Yes.
slightest. But yes.
But when they come over, when they go into their, uh, you know, Kirk says to him, "Hey, we're only here to explore. There's no need to fight." Blah blah blah. Koloth says, Core says to him, "I don't accept your apology," and Kirk says, "Frankly, Commander, what you accept is of little consequence to me."
Yes.
It is that same gunslinger Kirk from the one moment in the previous episode.
Yes.
But with an opponent of equal stature.
Yes.
It is so there is no word that I have that encapsulates it better than badass.
Yeah,
where
and
he
it's a different vibe in this episode. That
yes.
one that I like. I like the vibe of him being like that in this episode, but the vibe in the previous episode that was probably very similar just didn't hit the mark for me.
Okay. Yeah, where with Core, definitely he's on equal footing.
Yeah.
And the two of them are, they are the equal combatants here.
Yeah.
And I love that Kirk just absolutely is like, no, you don't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
but we obviously, when they meet, we get this beautiful imagery of them obviously
going into a spatial anomaly.
Yes, and obviously we then get the Starship Graveyard.
Yes, the Starship Graveyard, which is a shot that was not redone or re-attempted until Best of Both Worlds.
Yes.
In Next Generation. And the amount of time and energy that went into that shot and the amount of research that has gone into that shot. Ex Astra Scientia, has whole articles about the models. There have been whole magazines written about the models that they made for the Best of Both Worlds Starship Graveyard. These are, just, they all look right for Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I like that it's all these ships that are apparently derelict there.
Yeah, I'm actually going to put the imagery of the Best of Both Worlds, if I can,
yes,
onto the screen.
47 ships destroyed at Wolf 359 because of Locutus. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to see if it works.
Yeah. And that's there are so many ships that we got from there that it's kind of hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And yet the number of hours that I spent poring over that scene shot by shot and frame by frame as well, it's such a huge thing. And I love that now, there's a second one. Yeah, I love that there is this second one here now.
Yeah, but I feel very much like it in the 70s. It was very different because obviously they didn't have the lore that we have now.
Yeah.
They didn't have by the time the Best of Both Worlds came along, they had 30 years of lore, roughly about that. 20
close to it, yes, because it was 30 years of Star Trek. Yeah. Well, wait, Best of Both Worlds was season 4's closer, right?
So maybe 25.
Yeah. Well, 1991 was the 25th anniversary.
Okay, so it was they had they had a couple of decades, so they had a lot
Yeah,
more options of ships. But this
yes,
scene, they didn't have that many options, but every kind of
but they
ship kind of vibes with Star Trek still.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then well, Scotty comments that he's only seen some of them from crew drawings,
yeah,
and then we get the beauty shot of the starship graveyard,
yes,
the old Bonaventure,
yes, which I absolutely
which
love.
I love the design. It looks like some of the stuff that Probert did as like test designs for Constitution
Yes,
or for even Ambassador class,
but yeah,
because you can see the sort of design lineage.
but this is the first time that we actually see on screen a ship that isn't a Connie class, isn't it? Other
Yes,
than other than like cargo vessels and like the bases and
and
stuff.
scout ship, because we
Yeah,
saw the scout ships from Mr. Red Flags himself, the Vendorian.
yes. But this
We've
is the first
seen
time that we've seen a bigger
as
ship.
starship.
Yeah, which
Yes,
I love.
yes, and I love that because it does show kind of the design lineage in Star Trek, and that it was designed by the same people. Um, and also, this is part of why the animated series was never canon, because it's the first ship to be fitted with a warp drive. Wait a minute, didn't we have warp drive in 2063? Oops.
Yeah,
Um, and the number of ways that people have tried to jump over that hurdle. Another writing challenge for those of you who are on uh, Mary Rose.
okay.
Try and reconcile that with the Phoenix. Try and reconcile the Bonaventure with the Phoenix.
We could do that because we're suffering some timey wimey things, so that might be an easy one for us to do. Cam, you will be watching this. We need to make it happen.
Yes, yes. Reconcile the Bonaventure with the Phoenix.
Yes, we need to work this out. But yes,
you,
it
you need
just
to fix the timelines.
yes. But I
But
actually
yes,
find that Strange New Worlds actually fixes a lot of the issues in an episode that they do. Um,
okay,
they obviously this is a slight spoiler, but they do an episode with Kang.
yeah,
And they've kind of shifted things from when it was meant to we were meant to have like the temporal cold war, we were meant to have World War III. They've kind of shifted it ever so slightly, so the event still happens,
mm-hmm.
but it doesn't happen at the time that we think it does. So it's actually it's given them scope on how to change and adjust the lore. And I know a lot of people are very upset over this.
Are very, very ticked, because if there is one thing about Star Trek that even Leonard Nimoy commented on negatively, we do have our canon fans, and we do have people who can't get over that. Yeah,
Gates keep canon.
and I will admit that I can be like that. I can be extremely pedantic about Star Trek canon, but at the same time, there is a certain amount where you have to say the Mystery Science Theater 3000 mantra has to win.
Yes. And I think
repeat to yourself, it's just a show.
yes.
I should really just relax.
Yes, but I think Strange New Worlds have given us a lot of ways that we can adjust. Yes. We can adjust some of the continuity issues that have appeared over time, which yes. I think is brilliant. But yes, so we get back to the brilliant scene where we have Core on his ship, just as confused about the graveyard as Kirk and the Enterprise crew are.
And I do want to call out the Core thing here. This is the last appearance of smooth far-headed Klingons.
Yes.
Because the next time we see the Klingons, and spoilers for a few episodes, but the next time we see the Klingons will be in 1979 in the motion picture.
Yes.
Okay. We do see some forehead definition here, but these are still the smooth foreheaded Klingons.
Yes.
And in this scene, Obviously, James Doohan is doing multiple voices,
Yes, which I didn't
but
realize when I first watched it until you pointed it out to me.
that
Um,
that core is James Doohan, but
yes,
Curry is another Star Trek actor who has become a voice actor in his later years. Curry is voiced by George Takei.
which I did not pick up
And
on whatsoever.
to tell you the truth, the only reason that I recognized it so quickly is because the only episode of Avatar The Last Airbender that I've ever seen was the one that he was in.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so it was the same voice. I'm like, wait, that's his I'm not Sulu voice.
Is that what we're gonna call it now? I'm not Sulu
Yeah,
voice. Okay,
yeah.
I can
That's his
make
I'm
that.
not Sulu voice.
I like that. But yes,
Yeah.
I didn't realize this around the voice actors, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily pick up on voices like that.
Yep.
But it's an interesting fact that we are getting a lot of the main characters are doing double roles, triple roles
Yes.
around this because obviously
And I appreciated it.
yeah, because obviously having it animated and having it very shorter episodes, it doesn't give us as much options to have Scotty.
Yes.
It doesn't give us as many options to have Sulu, and it doesn't obviously give us many options all the time to have Christine. So
Yeah.
a lot of those actors are actually doing other roles.
Yes. And in fact, the one who got really stuck was Walter Koenig, but we've talked about that already in oh man, which is that the episode with the Philosians, which
Yes,
is where we're about to come to. Which
yes,
is it? It's the Infant Falcon was the one with the Philosians,
yes,
and now we're coming to a a reason why we should reference them. After a small scuffle between Core and Kirk with their ships, the two captains get beamed into this council chamber. And I love this shot. I love this scene because there is such a great sense of space developed.
yes,
We've talked about how well the visuals are, and we've talked about some of the cinematography here.
yes.
This scene shows that cinematography so well
It
because
really does.
in animation, this feels like a space.
Yeah,
And as we show some more images, it's still, you have a consistent sense of space. You know where the camera is,
yes,
you know what you're seeing and why you're seeing it. And I love that. But
yes.
um, since you're less the TOS person than I am, uh, without the spoiler of our rehearsal,
Yes, you want me to
uh,
go through and name who I can see. So I'll put that image back on the
yes,
thing because I didn't actually delete it after I shown it. So
yeah,
I put it back on. So I know the Orion, the Vulcan, the Klingon. I don't know the teddy bear one, the Andorran.
Cap,
I
yeah,
didn't know the one that was next to it.
yeah,
But I do after a discussion because I've got a theory. We've got the insect people from the last episode.
the plant
Um,
people
plant people, yes. I don't know.
from the infant.
Yes, I don't know who the next one is, but she's
Yep,
wearing a
a
space
bubble
helmet.
suit. Yeah,
Um, the next one's a Vulcan. I didn't recognize the one next to the Vulcan, but we know who. But you've suggested you know who that is, don't you? You suggested it
mm.
was a. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, just keep going and I'll fill in.
Uh, I don't remember the next one because I can't see it properly, and the last one I didn't recognize at the time, but that's because I haven't seen them in this format yet.
Yes, you do need to see Arena.
Yes.
Um, and I reference Arena because from left to right, yes, we've got our three standards: the Orion lady, the Vulcan, and the Klingon.
Yeah.
Next to them is a Kzin.
Okay.
We'll get to them. We'll
Okay.
get to them. We were supposed to be talking about them today,
Yes, yes, yes. That was my
but
mix-up. Oops.
oops. But we'll be talking about them uh, in in one episode from now, or maybe
Yes,
two episodes of the series, certainly.
yes.
Next to them, an Andorian. Next to that, next to him, there is someone that fan theories say is a Xindi insectoid.
Which I can get on that bandwagon because
Yeah,
I think it is.
yeah. A Philosian from the Infinite Vulcan. That humanoid that, as I said, some people say it might be a Xindi humanoid,
Yes.
or it might be one of the other um, weird races. Obviously, another Vulcan,
Yeah.
a Tellarite,
Yeah.
a human
Yeah.
who she is wearing the same kind of outfit as what the whale lady from Star Trek 4 ends up wearing.
Yeah, I
Which I
assumed when
fun.
I was looking at it from this angle, I thought it was like a NASA astronaut suit.
Yeah, no, but she's a Federation scientist apparently.
Okay.
And then obviously, right at the end there is a Gorn,
Yes.
and I love how again this council chamber there is that beautiful sense of spacing,
Yeah.
and then the Orion woman is the one who lays down the law
Yes.
and says, "No, you can't fight. Not going to happen."
Yes.
Um, and this is another sort of what I call the one woman show episodes of the animated series because the voice of the Orion woman is not, as we have seen commonly, Majel. It's Nichelle,
Yes. Which I didn't
which,
recognize.
yep, and I did immediately, and I loved it because, yeah, too bad they never put her in the Orion outfit. Oh well. Hey, I'm a guy.
Yes,
Uh,
but what I'll do is I'm going to pop the images
I'm joking,
of the council on the
but
screen so other people can
yes,
have a proper look at them.
yes, please do because that shot is very well done. And then after that, they start talking about trying to escape. And Spock comes up with the realization that neither ship can escape on their own. You
Yes.
know, Core's ship, the Klothos, and the Enterprise cannot escape on their own.
No, not at all.
Okay, so they need to cooperate. And this is the next shot that I have here. I love it because it is such a different ambiance and kind of vibe from the later uh uh Klingon episodes.
Yes, it's very much not doom and gloom. It's very
Yes,
bright. It's very open. I am absolutely digging the table.
yes.
And the fact that
I want a
it's,
triangular table like that.
I just love it because it's very much keeping in line with the Klingon symbol. It's
Mm-hmm.
3 points. I very much love it, but I do find it very
Yes.
fascinating that it's the Klingon ship is very
Mm-hmm.
bright, it's very airy, it's very in keeping with the look of the original series.
Yes.
But I do kind of vibe better with the doom and gloom and the grunge of the
I
90s onwards. I do kind of feel very much that that fits Klingons more.
mm, see. I think it depends on which kinds of Klingons because these guys it does fit them. And also, honestly, the thing that I don't like about Klingon ships in Next Generation and so on, and them being so dark and so dingy, is Klingon eyes are not said to be that much better or different from human eyes. how do the Klingons not trip over things constantly?
I feel very much it does fit the vibe because whenever we've seen
Okay.
Kronos on Strange New Worlds, and I'm thinking we
Yeah.
saw it on Enterprise as well. I think it was the first episode, maybe.
Yeah.
It very much fits that vibe. You know, they've got fires lighting the way. They've got torches. I can kind of
Yeah.
dig it, but I
I mean,
do I
I
do
think, yeah,
understand.
yeah. I think, okay, for ritual places, I get it. But for a starship, this feels more functional to me.
I don't know. I've been working on cruise ships, and you know, a lot of the places that we
I
go in,
know. And it's a lot of dark, dingy,
it's
wet places. I know. But, but, gee, if it could be better lit and open, wouldn't it be much nicer so that people don't trip all the time?
it wouldn't be
But,
able
oh well.
to.
Hmm?
But yes, this I can
No.
see why this scene, and it
Yeah.
works better in animation for the time
Yeah.
that it's not dark, it's not dingy, it's very clean. You can see exactly what's happening, and then we
Exactly.
kind of get
And
to the
and
point.
then we get to this wonderful moment once they agree, because Spock comes over with a smile on his face,
Yes.
puts a hand on both of their shoulders, and thanks them for their cooperation.
And it gives the most manic Vulcan smile that I have ever
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
It's a scary smile.
Yes, it really is. It's terrifying.
Yes.
And the Klingons are even scared of him in that moment. It's like
Yes.
maybe him being half human isn't just a rumor.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gives off a very unique vibe for this episode.
And then
But yes.
we see the docking clamp quickly, and
Yes.
it looks great because even though it's a very simple thing, the fact that they went to the effort to put that together and didn't just kind of slam the two ships into one model or whatever.
No, and
And
the fact that we've also got the ship graveyard
yes, the
behind
ship
it,
graveyard. Yep.
they could have done it. They could have done a very closed shot. They could have just done it with the ship being blank behind it. But they chose
Exactly.
to include those images to remind us that they are still in this graveyard, and I think
Yes,
it's a simple scene, and it's
but it's effective.
yeah, and it's I want to say it's fan service to the people that like
Yes,
the engineering aspect of Star Trek, because like you said, they could have
guilty as
just
charged.
yeah, they could have just slammed the ships together, but they didn't. They took the time to find a way to do it without making it a permanent thing.
Yes,
So yeah, I
and
think
I enjoyed that.
yeah,
And yes, the ship graveyard and the fact that it looks like sort of vaguely designs that we've seen
yeah,
in other parts of Star Trek. Um, like these are the ships that led to things that we saw. I like it.
yes,
And then obviously they're cooperating. So the ship crews are operating on each other's ships. There are Klingons on the Enterprise. There are Starfleet people on the Klothos. And two Klingons get lost. Right. And a security officer comes up to the bridge and reports this with the Klingons in tow. And Spock just walks over, says, "Gentlemen, I'm sure you must be lost.
yes,
Where were you supposed to be working?"
yes. It's creepy. It's creepy Spock back again.
It really is creepy Spock, but I love it all the same.
Yes,
And he's like, "Captain, permission to escort these young men back to their workstation." Kirk's like, "Granted."
yes.
And
I would be terrified as a Klingon if that happened to me.
yes,
If
exactly. If you just have Spock casually wrap his arms over your shoulders like that,
yeah, I'd be terrified. I'd
yeah,
be like, yeah, something is not right here. But I love the fact that we get McCoy and Kirk share a
yes,
look, and they're like, "What is going on here? What's
yeah,
something is not right."
yes. It's like, is Spock coming unglued?
Yes,
Uh, well, he's under a lot of pressure, Bones.
yeah. But
And
it's
Bones is like, yeah, but there's many ways I've seen Spock, but I've never known him to be a pal.
Yeah, he's pal
Especially
Spock.
not the Klingons.
Yeah, he's very
He
much
is Pal
pal.
Spock.
He's
Yep.
pal Spock. But I
We didn't
do
get a Hail Spock
no.
moment in this episode. We get a Pal Spock one.
Yeah, we get a rhyme. It's fine.
Yes.
But yeah, I kind of like the fact that it's Spock that works out that there is something not quite right, and the fact that the Klingons
Yes.
are doing something dodgy, as per Klingons do.
Yes. And that's the thing is that when Kirk finally addresses it, Spock's fine.
Yeah.
he he's putting on an act.
He is masking
And,
the wrong way.
yes. But he's putting on an act and he's like, before I touched them, I didn't know. But they are absolutely planning something.
Yes.
And the guys at the dilithium storage didn't know anything.
Yes.
It's like, oh. And then we come to my favorite character of the whole episode who should have gotten more lines.
And should have been named properly.
Yes. Lady Klingon.
Lady Klingon, which is how we are going to refer to her throughout this episode going forward. We get Lady Klingon, who is...
And I love that she has an afro going, and it's, perfectly coiffed. It's, if anything, to me, it's like looking at Michelle in the 70s.
Yes.
Okay? And I think they probably did model it on her, and if she had lines, it would have been Michelle in this episode.
Yes.
So you see Core with it, with her, and saying, "Take this, blow up the ship."
Yes. Yes.
And we don't know how he's going to get it on there.
Yes, which is it's interesting that he's asked the female officer to do this. I find it quite empowering that he's done this, because it could have just been one of the men that were on the ship already, but he's asked the woman, because I think he thinks that the humans aren't going to suspect her. But I also just love, this is the first time that we've ever seen a female Klingon in the series as a whole, because we never saw it in the original series.
Nope.
And I actually prefer this female Klingon compared to what we see later on in... I know why you like them. And I like that too. But I think there is a better way to approach it.
Okay. How about say Kaylair? Compared to Kaylair, she's okay.
So yeah, I think
so she's on par with. But I love this version of Klingon women.
Yes.
I love that they trust her to do it. That they let her be the femme fatale. I wish she had a couple of lines.
Yes.
That's one of the weaknesses of this being a half-hour episode.
Yes, or at least named. I wish we had a name for her, other than Lady Klingon.
If they'd given her a name, I would have been very happy.
Yeah.
And then we cut over to a party that they're having the night before they're gonna escape.
Yes.
And we open up to fan service.
It's another one that makes me ever so slightly uncomfortable. I fully understand that the Orions at this stage are very much femme fatales. They are very much seen as the Orion dancers. But I don't like it. But that's me. That's me. I know that obviously this woman, she is on the council, she's this, she's that, but she...
Yeah, it's not like she's... This is not a powerless woman doing this because she has to.
Yeah.
This is...
It just makes me ever so slightly uncomfortable that she's got little clothing on.
Okay. But we never see her with more clothing.
Yes.
So
I just think, seeing that we've had Orions sort of in later series that are very empowered. We've got the character in Lower Decks who is absolutely amazing, who is Tendi, that's it, her name is Tendi.
Okay.
She's fantastic as an Orion, and some of the comments that she comes out with around Orions and the dancers and the fact that they used to be dancers are utterly hilarious.
Well, remember that in a few episodes, we're going to be seeing more Orions.
Okay.
So don't be worried about her.
Okay.
All right. Don't feel sorry for her.
I know that things change, because I know that in Strange New Worlds, the Orions change. I find that this is very much a sign of the times with
A
the
little bit,
Orions.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
I just don't like it. It
But
makes me uncomfortable.
but
But
I love that she goes over to Kirk when Kirk compliments her.
yes,
She's like, "You've seen the Dance of Orion with me before, many times."
yes,
And she's like, "Okay, now we're on a par. Now I know where you're coming from, dude.
yes,
Okay."
yes,
And she's like, and she's waxes a little poetic about wanting to see Orion again.
yes.
And Kirk lays down the smoothest line.
I've got to admit, it's pretty smooth even for Kirk.
Yes.
I've got to admit,
Yeah.
it's probably his
Yes.
smoothest line.
Yes. You could go. We're willing to take passengers.
Yes.
And I'm just sitting there going, and where would this passenger be making her bunk, Captain?
Yes. Yes.
But
it's a bit.
but but tell me that you wouldn't fall for a line like that.
No.
No,
I've worked on cruise ships.
That's true.
My ex is an officer. I fell for that
That's
line
true.
once. I wouldn't do it again.
There you go. You did fall for it once, though.
I was in a relationship with an engineering officer.
Yeah.
So I did fall
So,
for the
hey.
line. But Becca now of 2024 is not as
Yes.
daft as 2012 version Becca.
Yes. Becca of 2024 is amazing and wonderful.
Yes, 2012 version of me. But I wouldn't
Just
change it.
still wonderful, still amazing, but a little bit
A
more
bit daft. A bit daft. But yes.
But yes, then the image that I inserted here, that I realized we had missing, that goes to something I find really, really cool. Bones is usually the curmudgeon and the most provincial of the crew.
Yes.
And yet he asked the Klingon lady to dance.
Yes.
Which gets Curry to say, hey, back off, she's my woman.
Yes.
And you can... this is one of those times where I wish the facial animations were a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, that's the only thing that lets them down at some points.
You can almost get the view from McCoy of she's what? Yeah. Without him saying, where he says to him, I only asked her to dance. She didn't have to say yes.
Yeah, and she really didn't. He gave her the option.
And she stays back out of the fight because she knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Because he's the distraction.
Yes.
But I do find it interesting that it's McCoy who's the one who asked her to dance.
Yeah, normally it's Spock or Kirk. Spock's
not really.
But Spock has some smooth lines. He has got some very smooth.
Oh yes.
Cloudminder.
Elon of Troyes. Yes, I have never met a Vulcan before, Mr. Spock, nor I a work of art, madam.
Yes, so he does some very smooth lines, but yes, so we get the lady Klingon who does some sabotaging of the ship. She puts a pill into where is it?
Well, it looks like the computer room.
Yeah.
It looks like the computer room.
Yeah.
I think they said it's dilithium storage. But it's a computer room.
Yeah, it looks like
dilithium storage, computer room, that sort of thing. And then we get into the ships are trying to escape. They've got the plan. They've got the ships together. And I love how now we get a blank screen behind the two ships.
Yes.
Yes, it's a low detail model, but we still see the attention to the ship models.
Yeah.
And as we get this blank space, suddenly the Elysians realize, oops, something's up.
Yes.
And we get the biggest ass pull of the episode.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, again, I don't have a better phrase for it, because this one is just... it comes out of nowhere.
It does.
Except
It really does come out of nowhere.
because
But we
while
sort of,
yes, psionics have been shown, yes, she's been shown having a vision. It's just so sudden that she figures out what's going on.
yeah.
Um,
There were better ways this could have been done. This could have been done with them looking at footage. It could have been done with, her being caught coming out of the computer storage area,
yeah.
and then
It
them not get.
could have been done with the Elysians running sensor
Yeah, it
scans.
could have been done so many other ways. I just find it a little
Yeah.
bit odd that suddenly this character has this ability that they've not shown before.
Well, she showed it once when they were talking about escaping.
Yeah.
When Zarius says it's not against the law to try to escape, that she
Yeah.
did show. But the fact that it was sudden, because before it looked like she did it with like real effort. This one is just snap.
Yeah, it just felt a bit out there and a bit. It didn't tie
it really
in.
does.
It didn't tie in with anything else. It felt like it
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, we've not got a reason for them to realize. We need to think of something.
Exactly. And then the Elysians call the Enterprise and say, "Hey, the Klingons have sabotaged you, and they know exactly where the bomb is."
Yeah.
So instead of sending 2 engineering crew from that same section to go deal with the bomb, who does Kirk send? Spock and Scotty.
Yeah, it literally just makes no sense. It's just more moments where they need to show off that they are the senior crew and they are the action hero of the whole series, that there is no one else
Exactly.
in existence.
Exactly.
All they need to do to run the ship is 5 senior officers.
Pretty much, it seems like.
It's very
what
much.
do the other 425 people do?
Yep, it's what it is. They are the action heroes of the ship. But yeah, that was a point that bugged me, because I was like, but why are they sending these people from their duty stations in a moment where they need them at their duty stations because they are the best and the brightest? Why are they going to do this when someone else could do it quickly?
Also, is Scotty? I mean, are Scotty and Spock the only ones that are trained bomb disposal people on the ship?
It's got to be. It's the only headcanon I can accept right now. That's the reason why
that without Chekhov on the ship, there's nobody to disarm bombs.
Obviously, but yes. So we obviously get the ship escaping, and we get the really good scene that I kind of like, that shows them getting back into normal space, because we see stars, which
we can finally see stars again.
Yes.
Without the starship graveyard and not a blank space.
Yes.
I do like that.
Yes.
And then they split off. The explosion goes off. From a tiny little pill, it's an explosion that's the size of the Enterprise.
Which
Klingons. I see you there. Okay, we see you.
Yeah.
And Uhura intercepts the communication, with Kor taking full credit.
Yes.
For getting them out of Elysium.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, okay, he can do that.
Yeah, Kirk just let it go.
It's like, and this is the other side of Kirk the cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
When people are threatened, he will respond with force.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't matter, he has bigger things on his mind.
Yeah,
and in this case,
I think it's very good character development that I observed that he very much did let it go, and he did sort of just be like, oh, whatever, I can send my reports.
Not what matters.
I can send my reports. I can send my report and it'll be fine.
But no, he's like, that's not what matters. That's what matters. Looking out at the view screen at the stars.
Yes.
As we get the closing pan.
Yes.
And I do love that. And this was a great episode. Super watchable, super Star Trek.
How many? What's your score for it?
This is 4 out of 5 Klingon ladies.
Yes, because you know me too well. I'm gonna have to get more. I'm gonna have to get less obvious.
Creative.
Yes, but I am gonna give the same score because despite some of the scenes in this episode ever so slightly making me uncomfortable, I very much did enjoy this episode. I very
Yeah,
much enjoyed it for the fact that we have Lady Klingon. I very
yeah,
much enjoyed the Elysian Council and seeing all those different species. I kind of wish that we had more um
mhm,
time to explore this Bermuda Triangle in space.
exactly.
I very much wish that we would potentially go back to that with the new technology and the new Star Trek series that we've got. Um, but who knows?
Honestly, we could probably. I mean, the Delta Triangle is still there. You could probably still have it in a sim.
Yeah. I'm just thinking from a production point of view of seeing it in live
Yeah.
action.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
would really enjoy that.
Yes.
Especially because obviously we discussed yesterday around the characters that we have in the Elysian Council, and
Yeah.
we came to the conclusion that one of them we potentially think was a Vulcan that was unified.
I
So it
think
was,
I think Xerius is a pre-Sorakian Vulcan
yeah, and
because he is a lot more emotional than Spock.
yeah,
And the outfit that he's wearing looks more like what we see of um even Sarek
yeah,
wearing,
yeah,
and of other Vulcans who are of high status who wear things from centuries ago, millennia ago.
yeah,
So I don't think he's just an ambassador. I think he is actually from before Surak.
yeah. I definitely think that, especially because there's two Vulcans on the council. I think they
Yes.
are they're different. The different, Vulcans.
Yeah, they're very different. Yes.
I just, yeah. So I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good as yesteryear, but it wasn't
No,
anywhere near as bad
it
as
is
any of
not.
the.
It is definitely. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually one of my favorite episodes that I've watched so far, other
Yeah.
than the Salem episode, because though I gave that a slightly lower
Where
score, it was very much one of my favorite episodes.
where that's the fun thing. You love that episode, and I
Yeah.
I understand it. I get where they're going, but I stand by the fact that I gave that one a 1 out of 5.
Yes, which is
It
actually,
is, as a Star Trek episode,
yes,
it's the weakest.
yes, but I get
Okay.
I get Hellspark, and I
Yes.
get
Well,
the
you get
hilarious.
Hail Spock, and
Yes,
and then it's a 5 out of 5.
yes. But I am very much enjoying this journey, and I am
Yeah.
very much excited to see where this goes, because we have
Yes.
only got what? How many episodes have we got
We've got
left? Because we were
we've got
looking.
well, we've got 2 discs.
Yeah.
Five,
So was it 8?
10, 5. Hold on.
Oh wait,
Five
one,
episodes on that disc.
12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 10 episodes left, and we've got something that is going to be sort of a special feature for us because it's special features on the DVD.
Yes.
Um, there are two behind the scenes kind of documentary things um, on this disc here, and that we're going to need to find a way to watch together
Yes.
because I'm looking forward to talking about the whole series,
Yes.
as we close out. And as we jump back, because where this series, you're seeing, in many ways, the most distilled version of Star Trek and kind of the best version of the original series.
Yes.
We're going to jump back in time when we finish this by about 8 years.
Yes.
And by a lot of brain power, we're going to go all the way back to where No Man Has Gone Before after we finish it.
Yes, and the
And
episodes are going to be very different then, because obviously we are
yes,
going to be doing one episode per episode, because obviously
absolutely.
they're longer. They're gonna require a lot more thinking.
Yes.
But I'm very much looking forward to it, and
Yeah.
I am absolutely loving these episodes that I do with you,
Yes.
Enzy, and the fact that you have taken
Absolutely.
that you are not really the co-host. You are the host of these episodes. I am very, very much along for the ride, offering the technical support that sometimes very much fails. Um, But I'm getting very.
Well, there's a reason that on Discord you say you're moral support, not tech support,
Yeah, yeah.
and you really are.
Yeah. But I
Look,
was.
we have
I am. I do apologize because I was very disappointed with myself
do
last
not
night.
apologize.
That
We needed
I.
a rehearsal helped. We have
Yes.
I I'm just gonna say this. We definitely have a more complete view of the episodes than we did previously,
Yeah.
and I like doing that. Um, so yes, next episode we're going to be talking about the ambergris element, and we're going to be talking about the slaver weapon.
Yes, and I haven't looked at
And
anything. I haven't looked at anything yet around them. I haven't looked at the
well,
what happens. I haven't looked at any images. I haven't, because I quickly deleted the images that you sent me for
good,
this. So I
good.
haven't. I'm hopefully going to watch it. I'm going to watch one of the episodes
Well,
like right the second after this.
all right.
Hopefully.
Ambergris element has a big science blunder, by the
Okay.
way.
So I'm going to have to try and spot it, am I?
Oh, you'll catch it,
I'll
believe
catch
me.
it. Right. Okay. But yes.
And the slaver weapon, I'm reading the short story it was based on, kind of as we speak. I have read it before. I'm rereading it. I've made no secret of what it is, and we'll talk about it in more depth when we get there.
Yes.
And in the meantime, yes, to all of our fans and followers, thank you so much, Cam, Chris, any of the people from Nerdy Up North, any of our other fans. You know, we love your comments. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube, share it out on Threads. You know,
Facebook,
if
Instagram, X,
yeah,
formerly known as Twitter.
yes,
I am all over the social medias.
if you want to share it in Reddit or Star Trek, go for it.
Yes.
If you want to share it in Reddit or podcasts, go for it.
Yes.
You know, we love that community involvement, and if you have comments about these episodes, please share them. And if you have ideas of things that we might have missed that you think are important details, say so.
Yes,
because we love that.
We do, and we're actually going to be doing a sort of special mini episode at some point around the comments and sort of reading them out and backtracking and discussing
Yes.
Comments that we've had. So
because we do love it.
Yes,
so much.
And we do love seeing the comments and knowing that someone is watching it, other than seeing the likes and the view figures. But
Yes.
for now, I think we'll leave it there, because this episode, for us saying before this we recorded, we're like, oh, it's going to be a short episode. We've done it before. This is probably going to be one of the longest episodes because it's an hour and 40 minutes. So
because we've been talking. Yep.
Yes. So I think we're going to leave it there. So
yes.
Stay safe, stay nerdy, keep out of trouble, and
hopefully
live long and prosper. And we'll catch you around the Discord. Take care. Bye.
Yep. Bye.